I'm Linda, and this is No Frills ASMR. I'm back with the Ultimate Star Guitars book, and we've looked through, that's Brian Setzer, I recognize his tattoos. We have looked through a good bit of this book. Maybe someday I'll re-record the first part because I kind of screwed it up, I think. Told some not quite right story. But anyway, Nirvana. We left off Dwayne Eddy with I think we're on Robert Johnson. So let's just flip to there. There's Reverend Orneat. I marked here. That must have been the time before last. We must have started there. Because I thought we left off, yeah. Waylon Jennings, who was on the, well, he was almost on the plane crash that killed Buddy Holly. I did a video on that. That's kind of interesting. But anyway, I think we left off with Robert Johnson. Let's see, can you guys see the whole book? Let me look at my thing. It looks like it. All right. So Robert Johnson, it says he played a Gibson L1. I think the Gibson L1 was sort of the, well, it was the base model guitar. In fact, I think they talk in here about, I remember, okay. Unveiled in 1926, the bare bones L1 was just 13.5 inches wide and had either ladder or H bracing. The necks of the early examples had no truss rod. So, yeah, I think this was just the least expensive guitar that Gibson made. Still a good guitar. And that's what Robert Johnson played. And if you're not familiar with Robert Johnson, he was the he was so influential for blues guitarists like Eric Clapton and Cream. But he played this less expensive, guitar, but still just had a sound that was very unique to him. And you can look up on YouTube. There aren't videos of him, but there's, they have it playing like with a picture in front of it. I guess you could look up on Spotify, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, but there aren't very many photos of him. This one, what do they say? Hold on. For many years, only 2 verified photos of the blues legend were known to exist, although a third that possibly shows Johnson and his fellow performer Johnny Shines surfaced in 2005. So yeah, very influential. Crossroad Blues, Me and the Devil Blues. I went down to the crossroads. Yeah, the song probably by Eric Clapton, Crossroads. It's about him. Isn't that right? It's about him, is that right? Or was it his song? Uh-oh, I don't know. All right, Wilco Johnson. I'm not familiar. What's he playing? A 1962 Red Guard Fender Telecaster. With his shaggy bull haircut, black clothes, herky-jerky stage presence, and frenetic playing style, Wilco Johnson was considered by many to be the heart and soul of Dr. Feelgood. Is that where the song He's Won the Golden Yeah, I don't know him. Brian Jones playing a Vox Phantom Mark III prototype. They don't show him playing. He had a anniversary, like the green two-tone Gretsch anniversary edition that he played also, but they don't show that here. I wish they did, because that's a really cool looking guitar. Brian Jones, yeah. While several guitar heroes have lived into ripe old age, their gear preference evolving with them, those who were taken too young are often cemented in the mind's eye with a single iconic guitar. Well, that's funny, because I think of him playing the Gretsch. But that's just because I have an interest in Gretsch guitars, I guess. Yeah, I read Keith Richards' autobiography, and he talks a little bit about Brian Jones, and not super complimentary as I recall. It's been years since I read it, but he kind of felt like Brian, he was drinking a lot and on a lot of drugs, and he became paranoid and felt like Mick Jagger and Keith Richards were like trying to exclude him, which they kind of eventually did. They kicked him out of the band. And then he ended up being found at the bottom of his swimming pool, and he was only 27 years old. And wasn't he like the first, you know how they say there's that 27 club or whatever where musicians die at that age? I think he was the first, which is sad. But yeah. Yeah, that Keith Richards autobiography was kind of interesting, actually. But I can't remember what else he said about him. But this is kind of a cool looking guitar. It's like a teardrop shape. Vox Phantom. Okay, that's funny. Who else do we have here? 1974 Gibson Les Paul Custom, played by Steve Jones. Okay. Steve Jones is from the Sex Pistols. And here's Johnny Rotten. Look, he's got like it looks like a sheriff's star or something there. There is a, what do you call it? Not a documentary, like I don't know what you call it. There is a show, I think it was on Hulu, called Pistol, and it's based on Steve Jones's autobiography, and it's all about the Sex Pistols, and it was pretty interesting. It was kind of a fun watch. Like Chrissy Hines is in it, not her, but the actress playing her, and it was interesting because she wanted to play in the band, and they were like, no girls, you know, like kind of didn't even give her the time of day. It was just interesting. Yeah. He was sort of, I think when he started in the band, he didn't even know how to play guitar, is what they kind of showed in that. But he had like all this raw energy, which, you know, is interesting too, because sometimes that's what a band needs, in this band. That's what they were all about. Yeah, I recommend that Pistol. I think it was called Pistols or Pistol. I feel like it was on Hulu. Oh yeah, and he shows in that show that him and his friends, after like a concert was being set up, they would break in at night and steal the instruments. And so he had stolen quite a few guitars, and I think he honestly doesn't remember if this was a stolen guitar or not. But there's always been stories that this was maybe stolen from David Bowie or Paul McCartney, something like that. Do they? Oh, look right here. Research Jones' gear, and you'll encounter widely accepted stories, because he's told them, of how he allegedly stole the Les Paul from Mick Ronson backstage at a David Bowie concert, or perhaps from Paul McCartney, and how the twin reverb was likewise allegedly lifted from either A, the back of Bob Marley's equipment truck, or B, backstage at a Bowie concert. Bandmate Johnny Rotten was purported to have stolen PA equipment from Keith Richards' house. a bunch of literal punks, you know. Anyway, all right, well, that's all I know about him. But I have to say, I mean, I'm familiar with the Sex Pistols. There wasn't like, I guess I had some on cassette tapes that I made, some Pistols music, but I wasn't like a crazy Sex Pistols fan. But watching that show about them, I thought was interesting, because it really did show like the whole, it's more than about them. It's about like the art scene in that time and the clothing and what led to this. It was interesting. Albert King. Well, he's one of the kings, the kings of the blues. So it was Albert King, B.B. King, and Freddie King. Yeah. And he's playing a Flying V, which is so cool because this guitar, I think it's from like 19, where did they show you? I'm pretty sure this is 1950s. And it was like so funky and modern. And I read that they didn't sell very well. Look how worn. I was going to say from his hand rubbing it, but I can see he's playing this upside down. Okay, wait, he's left-handed. So his would have rubbed here. So he must have had his finger rubbing it. Look, here it is like brand new. Albert King's 1959 Gibson Flying V, collection of Steven Seagal. Yeah, Steven Seagal, the actor, has a huge guitar collection. Like, all kinds of stuff. Albert King. By the way, the Albert, BB, and Fred, they're not related or anything. They just all kind of came up around the same time and had the same last name. Oh, here's this guitar has his name here. If you're like curious, if you're not familiar with his music, there is a video with him and Stevie Ray Vaughan, and they're playing Born Under a Bad Sign, which has one of my favorite lines that I quote all the time. In music, if it weren't for bad luck, I would have no luck at all. I think that's a great little line. But anyway, yeah, go look up that video. It's Stevie Ray Vaughan and Albert King playing Born Under a Bad Sign. It's great. And I think he might be playing this guitar. What does it say? Albert King christened this left-handed, oh yeah, Flying V Lucy. It was built by master luthier Dan Erlewine for King in 1971. Left-handed. Oh, and look, it even says Lucy. I feel like everybody's guitar was Lucy. Yeah. Yeah, see, so before that, for left-handed, he had played upside down. That's funny. Okay. Oh, here's BB King and Gibson Lucille. It says Lucille, I think here. B.B. King, every guitar he owned, like this one, see, it's different than this one. They're all called Lucille. And the story that I read B.B. King told was that when he had like his first, I think it was a Gibson, he was playing a show and he had left the guitar inside the show and went outside. And these two men got in a fight where they knocked over like some kind of flammable, I don't remember, some flammable thing, and it caught the place on fire. And B.B. King was like, I gotta save my guitar. So he ran through the fire and almost got hurt apparently and saved his guitar. And it turned out the men were fighting over a woman named Lucille. So he said he named his guitars forever, all the rest of his guitars, Lucille, to remind himself not to do something so stupid again. Which is kind of funny. But yeah, B.B. King, the song "A Thrill Is Gone." That's a good one. If you just want to look one up. The thrill is gone, baby. Yeah, see this one, Gibson Lucille. What does it say? This Lucille is part of the actor Steven Seagal's collection. It was given to Seagal after a show and signed by King. In fact, it still has King's dried sweat on it. Okay. Yeah, I see it right there. You know, if I were like a rich person and got a B.B. King guitar, I don't know if I'd want it signed like right on the front. I feel like maybe on the side. I don't know why. I just want it to like look like his guitar, you know. I don't know. Some of the many Lucilles through the years. Here it's Freddie King. Yeah, so they have them all right. Well, I guess alphabetical, of course, they'd be all right. Freddie King. He was, you know, a great, like, instrumental. He could sing. He did sing. But he was really good with, like, instrumental. Like, if you look up the song, Hideaway, that's a really good one. There's, the song he does. I was just watching it on YouTube. Have you ever loved a woman? And it's just like this. It has a really long opening of just him playing sort of instrumental, and then he starts to sing. And I have been accused of being like over emotional, which I don't really think I am, but I used to be. But sometimes I still am. But like just watching that video, it'll like make me almost cry. I don't know why. It's like something about, it's not that I'm like sad. It's just like sometimes when I see something so like, I don't know, passionate or like heartfelt, it just makes me feel emotional. So there, yeah, look up the video of Freddie King playing. I think the name of the song is Have You Ever Loved a Woman? And he's just like, oh my God. It's a good one. Do they say anything about King and Gold Top 1961 press photo, 1954 Gibson Les Paul Gold Top? Yeah, you can't really see it because it's black and white, but it's like a gold finish. Look and see if they say anything. He performed alongside Led Zeppelin in 1969 at the Texas Pop Festival. Wow, can you imagine being at a pop festival and you're seeing Led Zeppelin and Freddie King? Oh my God. Whoa, that would be fun. guess if I could time travel to look up like really great festivals and concerts and go back to like that time period so you could see, you know, different people at their peak. That'd be pretty cool. Oh, Mark Knopfler. He's from Dire Straits. My sister was like a huge Dire Straits fan in the 80s. And because of that, I like them because anything she did, I did. But like, I think this album and yeah, Money for Nothing had Sting on it. I had a massive crush on Sting. 1937 National Style O. Okay, this is one of the National, their metal. And it's sort of like a cone. And it was made for acoustic to resonate the sound so it would be louder. But he electrified it so it has sort of a unique sound to it. Yeah, the song Sultans of Swing. That's a great one. It's so weird to me that this guy has that. He sings, he's the lead singer, and he has a really low voice. And he doesn't look like a guy with a really low voice. But on Sultans of Swing, he plays some pretty cool licks. Yeah. Is he still alive? I guess he is. I don't know. I feel like I haven't heard anything about Dire Straits in a long time. Look how cool this guitar. It has palm trees. That's pretty neat. Here is a 1958 Gibson Les Paul that he played, and has long been partial to red Stratocaster. Huh. The Notting Hillbillies. Is this a new band he's in? Okay. I guess he's still playing. I'm not familiar. Huh. John Lennon and George Harrison. That's funny. Everybody gets their own page. But they put John Lennon and George Harrison on one. That's funny. Let's see, a 1958 Rickenbacker 325. I've always called it a Rickenbacker, but I think it's actually Rickenbacker. And a 1957 Gretsch Duo Jet. Well, this is a cool looking guitar. Lennon's 1958 Rickenbacker, procured in Hamburg guitar shop in 1960. It was the first American guitar owned by a Beatle. Okay. Look how cute John looks there. He's got like a pompadour almost. So this Gretsch Black Duo Jet, I think I posted, I can't remember if I did or not, but I think I posted a short with or maybe it was a picture in Community of a sparkle. I want to call it a sparkle jet, but maybe that's not what it's called, but it's like just like this, but all sparkles, that I saw when I was in Nashville. I wanted to buy that guitar. I loved it, but I did not. But this Black Duo Jet, George Harrison said, was the first guitar that he owned that was a really good guitar. He had owned guitars before this, but this was the first, like, good guitar he owned, in his opinion, But he, these guitars weren't vintage guitars. They were brand new guitars. So he decided to move on to some other guitars. And he gave this guitar to a friend. I think he just gave it to him. And the friend did some mods on the guitar and, made it his own. And then many years later, like I think in the 1980s, George went to the friend and was like, hey, that guitar, I kind of want it back. Like, I really kind of want that. It was my first guitar that I made a lot of hits on and everything. So his friend, I guess, just gave it back to him or sold it. I don't know. But George paid to have it all, put back to original like it was when he had it. And he actually played it, and it's on the cover of his album Cloud 9. So if you look up like that cover, this guitar that he played when he first started in the Beatles is on the cover, and he's playing it on that album. So that's kind of fun. Here's Paul playing his Beatle bass. 1958 Rickenbacker and the 57 Gretsch Duojet. He's just kind of hidden. This is why I think it's Rickenbacker and not Rickenbacker, because it says here Rickenbacker, the Beetlebacker. So I think I've said it wrong all my life. Lennon. Oh, okay, this is the one. Let's see what they say, because this one, I think he had this refinished. Okay, what does it say? Lennon also popularized this 1965 Epiphone Casino, originally Sunburst. Lennon first had it painted in psychedelic motif, then had it stripped and refinished in 1968, thinking it would improve the sound. Lennon played it in the famous rooftop concert on the White Album. Yeah, this is the one, if you watch I think it's on Apple TV. It's a documentary called Get Back. It's about 500 hours long, but I watched all of it because I loved it. And Lennon is playing this guitar, I think throughout the whole thing, but definitely on the rooftop concert. Yeah, even if you don't want to watch the whole thing, if you watch the part where they write music and then the concert at the end, it's like really cool. Yeah, anyway, what is this? Operation Big Beat, Tower Ballroom, Friday the 14th of September. The Beatles, Rory Storm, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Billy Kramer with the Coasters. Alex Lifeson, Gibson Les Paul. Okay, so he's the Rush guitarist. I very much liked the song Tom Sawyer. And some other Rush music, but I wasn't ever I don't know a lot of Rush, I admit. So he's playing a Gibson Les Paul. Did I say that? Let's see, what do they say? Alex Lifeson and Rush perform in San Antonio, Texas, November 2012. So are they still performing? I don't know. I haven't heard much about them. The band's first single was a cover of Buddy Holly's Not Fade Away. What? I'll have to go look at that. They were prog rock. So a lot of their music kind of almost like jazz, it would just kind of keep going on and on. I just never gave it a chance, so I don't know. Oh my God. Listen to this sentence. Curious listeners who lack the intestinal fortitude for extended prog rock motifs can sample a taste of Lifeson's abilities by dipping into the poppier songs, such as The Spirit of Radio or Free Will or Tom Sawyer. Yeah, I guess I dipped into the popular songs. Who is this? Niles Lofgren, 1961 Fender Stratocaster. I don't know who this is. Is he jumping right here? How is he that high? Wait, is he jumping up in the air and got that much lift? I don't understand. He must be jumping down. Do you guys know who this is? I don't know who this is. Though he released 4 stellar albums in the early 70s with his band Grin, Niles Lofgren got his foot in the door thanks to sessions with Neil Young, who famously drafted the teenage guitar slinger to play piano on his 1970 solo album After the Gold Rush. I don't know. I'm not familiar. Oh, Lonnie Mack. Yeah, he's playing a Flying V. Gibson Flying V from 1958. Yeah, he does the instrumental rendition of Chuck Berry's Memphis, Tennessee. That's a good one. Yeah, if you're not, look up Lonnie Mack, Memphis, Tennessee. That's a good song. Lonnie Mack's 1958 Gibson Flying V with custom Bigsby tailpiece bracket. So here's the Bigsby, and it's got the whammy bar. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have a lot. Don't know this guy. I don't even know how to say this name. It's Yngwie Malmsteen. 1974 Fender Stratocaster. The Duck. Like the birth child of some cloning experiment that accidentally melted the DNA of Eddie Van Halen, Richie Blackmore, and Niccolo Paganini. I don't know what this is. Okay, I just don't know. 1984 solo debut Rising Force helped him ascend the ranks of poodle-haired super strat-toting virtuoso. I don't know him. Oh my god. What is happening? Look at all these guitars this guy has. That's a lot of guitars. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Let's say he has 20 here, and he has, 4 rows? So this is like 80 something guitars. That collection's worth a whole lot of money right now. Malmsteen created the famous scalloped divots in his Strat's fingerboard himself after observing such construction on an old lute that had come in for work at a repair shop. We're looking, I guess, right here. Huh. I don't know who this is. Very interesting. I'll have to look him up. Bob Marley. Bob Marley. You know, there's that new movie with Bob. I haven't watched that. Yeah, I heard it's like, but I still want to watch it. The only thing I really know about his guitar is he wrote a lot of his music with a Guild acoustic. And I only know that because my husband has a Guild acoustic and he told me. 1957 Gibson Les Paul Special. Bob Marley and the Wailers, 1979, at the Apollo Theater. After Marley purchased the guitar, he added a large white plastic ring around the pickup selector switch to disguise damage to the wood. Oh, right here. He also removed the one-piece wrap-over bridge, filling the large holes for its stud mounts with wooden dowels and adding a tune-o-matic bridge and stop bar tailpiece as found on the Gibson Les Paul standard. I like Bob Marley. I just like reggae music. (1959) Fender Stratocaster Hank Marvin. Oh, of the Shadows. The Shadows were like England's Ventures. They played all instrumental, a lot like the Ventures. And this guitar, what do they say? Hank Marvin's 1959 Fender Stratocaster with gold hardware. The first Strat imported directly into England. Yeah. There was some deal like England wouldn't allow American guitar imports. And then when they finally did, like this was the first one. And he had it. They did a cover of Santo and Johnny's Sleepwalk. It's okay. And they did Apache. But I'll tell you, I like the Santo and Johnny version of Sleepwalk better. But oh yeah, the most seminal of these, the classic Apache, were laid down with the 59 Stratocaster. Oh, it says they... what is this? What are they saying? Most of that... Shortly before this embargo... Oh yeah, they talk about the... There was a ban on U.S. imports to the UK through much of the 1950s that deprived British musicians of American-made guitars. That's interesting. Shortly before this embargo was lifted in 1960, Hank Marvin received a guitar that would become famous as the first Stratocaster owned by an English guitarist. It was brought into the country by singer Cliff Richard, whom Marvin backed in the Shadows. So the Shadows were playing with Cliff Richard. Marvin was already on his way to stardom by this time, thanks to the early instrumental hits the Shadows had logged. In addition to the band's hits with Richards, but with the red Strat in hand, the lanky, bespectacled guitarist forged a more recognizable identity on both sides of the pond. Oh, yeah, the Shadows originally had named their band the Drifters, and then they heard about the American band the Drifters, who were becoming famous, I think, and they were like, uh-oh. So they changed their name to the Shadows. Yeah, so that's interesting. There was some kind of... They weren't allowing U.S. imports. Huh. Yeah. Well, I guess I better go get some work done. So, we'll leave it here, but next time we'll pick up at... I don't know who this is. James Mascis, or no, I don't know if it's James. J. Mascis. Why did I read that as James? I guess I saw A-M-S. Yeah, not familiar. But he has guitar covered in stickers. So we'll look at that next time. Yeah, I don't know who this is. Alright guys, well thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll put that there so we know where we are. Alright, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. It's funny, they have John Lennon and George Harrison, but they have George Harrison. Huh. I don't know. Woody Guthrie, this machine kills fascists.